Oh, son of a nutcracker.
Tyler, what happened?
I just spilled my Dr. Pepper all over my hoodie.
That's a shock.
It's ruined.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? I know where you can get an even sweeter hoodie.
You do?
You need to visit dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. You can get pullovers, zip-ups, sweatshirts, even long-sleeve t-shirts with our logo and even our faces on it.
Wow, that's awesome. So I can just get shirts and that's alone and hoodies, right? That's it?
Oh, no. There's stickers, there's magnets, there's phone cases, mugs, and more.
What?
Oh, yeah.
How don't I know about this?
Well, you were a little busy eating, so I didn't want to bother you earlier, but it's dadsmeetworld.threadless.com.
I need to go there right now.
Here's your chance to try a little harder.
Welcome to Dads Meet World. I am one of your dads, Tyler.
And I'm your other dad, Brett.
Yes, this is a podcast where we go deep into the lores of 90s nostalgia known as Boy Meets World. And we tackle the issues that are most important, like what type of a father should we turn out to be? And are we meeting those type of expectations? Most likely, not.
And whether or not 1993/1994 weather was accurate in this series.
This show has a personal vendetta against me. I feel like the creators said, hey, there's a guy in Pennsylvania that we're going to mess with the weather. That's what I feel like. So, Brett, how you doing on this beautiful fallish day?
This beautiful fallish day, I'm doing all right. Spent the last week out of town, out of state, actually. I was over in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Took myself a long walk the other direction from Pittsburgh. Just spent the week working behind the scenes at a conference, and been nice getting back home. Got to surprise the wife and kids by coming home a day early. It's really
very
nice. Yeah. Set it all up. I was packing my bags while I was talking to Kelly and said, I'm going to lay down. If I fall asleep, I fall asleep. Might go out and get something to eat later. 3 hours later, as I'm parked in the driveway, I let her know that, we've got a Ring doorbell. Yeah, I'm talking to her on FaceTime. She can see I'm outside. See that I'm not inside, that I'm outside. Where are you? I'm just, been cooped up for 4 days. I just thought I'd get some fresh air. I'm not lying.
Mm-hmm. Technically not lying. No,
technically not lying. I saw that on our Ring that someone hashtag not yet a sponsor Ring doorbell talked to us. Great home security for a couple of dads.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I got a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, saw that someone left a package for us. Did you guys get it? And so she sent our middle child out. I was hoping she would have come out, but she sent her middle child out, and he comes out. I'm standing in the driveway, which is in full view of the front porch. And he comes out, he looks all over the porch, and he does not look at me. I'm, 40 feet from him. And he goes back inside. No, nothing there. So I turn around so that my phone's camera can pick up the house with the still up Halloween lights. This is the beginning of November, and Halloween lights are right there on the house. And it's like, well, our son is not all that observant, and it was a beautiful surprise for her and the kids. So how are you doing on this fine fallish day, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel it's time for a story time. We're going to need a cue at some point, but
we do need
a story time cue. I think in lieu of your son not being able to find you, I want to talk about another time where he couldn't find the thing he desperately wanted to find, and that would be the ducks.
I know this story.
Mm-hmm. So Brett's middle child and his oldest child were ring bearer and flower girl for mine and my wife's wedding, and we were so excited. And we were having the rehearsal dinner at my aunt's house, and my aunt has just this kind of little pond that has some fish in it. Mostly it just has frogs. But Brett's middle was very much convinced at 4-ish years old that there were ducks, and he was going to find them, and Sarah, my wife, needed to help him find the ducks. And I was walking, the two of them were together, and he was very determined, and I go, "What you guys doing?" And my wife just goes, "We are looking for the ducks." I'm like, but there are ducks. Okay. So to you, Toby, I will tell you that we love and adore you. And this is a story that we tell each other at least 4 or 5 times a year, just to reminisce.
Yes.
And
At
it's
least.
probably like someday when we forget all the drama and all the things that went down at our wedding, the thing we're always going to remember is looking for the ducks.
Yep. Oh, the ducks.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, maybe that's what we can get you guys for Christmas, a duck.
Oh, yes.
Add one more animal to the house.
You know, the 2 80-pound dogs won't eat that in one bite.
No, they're calm, gentle creatures as long as you don't put your face up against them.
That sounds like a story for another day.
Yes. So I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Been waiting on some personal life news. Finally got some answers. Just really excited to see what happens. So, sure. Yeah. That's normally the makeout sound, but
I didn't see my quick applause button, so.
it's all right. So, yeah. Yay! I think we talked enough, though, Brett. I think it's time to get into the episode and the synopsis.
I agree. So we're going to look at episode 15 of the first season. We're just powering through Model Family. This episode is where Mr. Feeney gives the class a project to plan an ideal family. Indeed. To plan an ideal family. He sets Minkus and Sean up as brothers, with Cory and Topanga acting as the parents. Meanwhile, Eric quits his job working with Alan at the Market Giant when he gets a job modeling at the mall. This episode was written by Ed Decter and John J. Strauss, directed by David Traynor, originally aired February 4th, 1994, the beginning of what we called in the 90s Sweeps Month, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 7.7.
Very nice. Thank you very much for that.
You are quite welcome. That's my radio dad voice right there. So how are you enjoying it, good listeners?
Anyway, the episode starts a little differently. We see that we're watching the beginnings of an episode from another show that they're watching as a class. And, you know, it's not that uncommon as a teaching strategy to use something from a television show as a, hey, you know, what can we take from this? What can we gain from this? Or, I don't know, starting a podcast doing this, basically the same thing.
Exactly. I can tell you over a span of a decade, I lost count of how many times I used clips from TVs and movies as teaching elements.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, honest to goodness, if Cory and Sean had a podcast in their times, they probably would say, why is Beaver so perfect and this isn't real?
Their first question might be, why is his name Beaver?
Yeah. That would be Sean's first question.
Yeah, because even in the 90s, Beaver was, we would have not just made fun of him, but we probably would have been a little more mean than just making fun of him.
Exactly. So just to get into what this is, so it's from Leave It to Beaver, show from 1957 to 1963.
Oh, wait, are you doing a deep dive already?
No, I'm just giving an explanation of what's happening.
I was getting excited. I was going to hit the deep dive.
Don't worry. I have the next thing, which is like 3 minutes away. You can play the clip for that.
All right.
I'm just making sure people are aware of why this is here. Okay.
All right.
So Leave It to Beaver had over 236 episodes, and it's about the misadventures of a suburban boy, family, and friends. This episode is called The Road Poem from Season 2, Episode 1. Now, I found the actual full poem, and I could read it. At this point, I don't want to, but there's also a second poem as well, which is about being a bear. And it's basically like the same poem that you see in how to be a bear would be a much better situation for Beaver than to be who he is as a boy. So basically it's about, I'd prefer to be an animal, so that way I don't have to do the things that little boys have to do.
Makes sense to me.
So after Beaver reads this poem, then there's some back and forth from the family, and it ends with the music playing. Everything's happening. And then, Feeney goes, okay, what can we learn from this? And Cory says, they're too perfect. Too TV. And Feeney says, I agree. Which is not okay.
That's right. I've got a little bit for us here on that.
Oh, please.
I agree with you, Mr. Matthews.
That's not like you.
In fact, you brought me to today's assignment.
That's like you.
So, Leave It to Beaver is a little too perfect. And then we get into the 1950s census.
Mm-hmm. And this is what you sent me, which we go on to.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Okay, so you may or may not know this, and it's okay if you don't, but every 10 years, the United States government does a census. Okay, we did one a couple years ago. I'm mostly trying to speak to anyone that's young enough that doesn't have to actually do the census. Us adults that have to do it, we're very much fully aware of what they are and why we do it. It's annoying, but it's something you have to do. The 1950 census was just released in its entirety, so all documents about it is now public access. And I actually found a website that allows you to go through and check the database. We may have to later link it because I currently don't have it on me.
Yeah, we'll drop it in the show notes for anyone who's really interested.
But basically, you type in what state you live in, the county, and then put a name in, and then the algorithm will find the best match for you. Because there's a ton of different documents through it. What I did was I was on the website and I actually went and found some information about the former Volks, if you will. The Volks that came before me, that live in the same community as I do still. So basically, I found on the same document my great-grandfather, and my great-grandma, and then my great-uncle. Because at the time, my great-uncle was not living with my grandparents anymore because he was living on his own. My grandfather, at the time of the 1950 census, was 14 years old and was listed as a farm help working 30 hours a week. I'm just going to say it. I didn't even work that much until I was 18 years old, and my work was not as intense as my grandfather's work as a farm help. Great uncle, he was 23 at the time, listed also as a farm home. I'm not sure what that meant. I think it's just mostly he was the one that was overseeing farm work. But he's listed as 72 hours a week, which is insane.
But if he's farm, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it is. So the average household at the time was 3.5 people per house. Mm-hmm. From the data that I had in 2020 or 2019, it was listed as 2.61 people per household. Basically, from what we were seeing, people living alone in 1950s was roughly 9%, where we'll just say today is roughly 28%. Mm-hmm. So the reason why that number has dropped is because there's more people that are willing to live on their own and people that are not kind of forced to stay in marriages, because at that time there were people that had to stay in their marriages and could not divorce. That's a topic for a whole nother day, but basically the medium house has dropped. But it's accurate for Feeney to say in a few minutes that the average household is 2 parents, 2 children. So, but we get into Cory saying that Feeney is doing leftovers, which I find hilarious.
Yes. But I admire his ability to think quickly on his feet when Cory explains that the leftovers is an accusation that he's just redoing an assignment from last year with his recrafting it as urban gangs. And each gang will have its own mother and father.
You just love dangling that little string of hope in front of us and yanking it away, don't you?
I love this line from Feeney, though. I had a cat. And I gotta say, when you have a cat and you actually spend time with it, you see it loves to just mess with something, and just take its good old time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have another story for another day when it comes to a cat and my dog and a mouse, but we don't have time for that.
Coming soon
another day.
to a Patreon near you, it is Tyler's cat stories.
So Sean and Minkus are going to be paired as brothers.
Which I love when they find out how they just in unison slap their heads.
Mm-hmm. And Cory tries to do the Nerdorama, which I can't stand this one. It's one of those things that's like it feels so forced and unnatural.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Feeney's got some sass too. And he's got that I forget what exactly he says, but he ends his he's telling his students that he hopes that they'll enjoy the experience, and he ends with, "I know I shall."
And the other thing is that we discover that Cory and Topanga will also be linked together as husband and wife.
Cory is going to be the father. Yeah.
Yes.
And Topanga's the mother.
No.
Yes, and then we hit the theme song, and we've made it pretty darn clear how we feel about the theme this summer and this summer.
No.
Yes, that. We've made it very clear how we feel about the first season.
Vast emotional damage.
Correct. So we move forward and we get to our mall.
A brand new set. We have never seen the mall before. We've heard about it, but we finally get to see inside.
And the first appearance of Jason.
Jason. Yes. Jason, who is going to be very familiar to even young children today. Jason is playing Rich, who is, at least for a stretch, the best friend of Eric, played by Jason Marsden. He has 226 acting credits to his name. This is the first of 9 appearances on Boy Meets World. He was also in Full House, where he played Nelson, Step by Step, where he played Rich. He was young Bruce Wayne in Beware the Batman. He was various voices in Kim Possible. He played the villain Billy Numerous in Teen Titans. He is the voice of Snapper Carr and others in Justice League. He is the voice of Impulse / Kid Flash in Young Justice, the voice of Max in Goof Troop and the Goofy movies, and also the voice upcoming of Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So Jason is still quite active in the world of Hollywood today. So kudos.
Wait a minute. So if we get Patreon going and we watch a movie in which someone from Boy Meets World is in, we could do a Jason episode.
Oh, very easily.
And we could do Sonic 3.
Once it comes out, sure.
I have a guest star who would make his day. As he says to me quite often, I'm a listener. Like, I know you are, honey.
So yes, Eric and Rich are at the mall scoping out the ladies. And what does Eric or what does Jason say about the ladies, about the game they're playing?
Yeah, it's a game. That's basically all he says.
They're pretending they don't exist, right?
Yes, I scrolled away from that. I'm sorry. They pretend they don't exist. That I'm nothing. Bottom line is no one walks away from this.
They're very good at this game.
A rich inner life. Basically describes a beautiful woman coming up to him saying, "Hello, do you know how beautiful you are?" Or handsome you are.
Yeah, Jason's...
I want to talk to you for a minute.
Jason's dream of how a woman would approach him is odd, to say the least. His dream, the way he describes a woman approaching him to get his attention and start a conversation that would be at least what we would understand leading into this big romance with him is odd. Hello, you're quite attractive. I've been waiting to talk to you.
I do love, though, that the moment that Alexis taps Eric, he immediately looks at him and goes, "Why? You missed."
You missed.
Oh, yeah. And Alexis is played by Kathy Ireland, 42 acting credits. Only time we'll ever see her on Boy Meets World. She got her break in Hollywood, at least as far as acting, in Charles in Charge. Also shows up in Tales from the Crypt, Melrose Place. Showed up on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and even provided a voice in King of the Hill.
I think what I like about Jason is he is almost equally, if not more, in a bad spot with girls than Eric.
Yeah, and honestly, as shallow as this is, he's about a foot shorter than Eric.
Yeah. But he's confident.
What he lacks in height, he makes up for in confidence. He really does.
He does. But I mean, every time he appears, it's meaningful.
Oh yeah,
like
he's
it gives
not wasted.
Eric more to do. And honest to goodness, the whole time, honest to goodness, the whole time, as a kid, I thought Jason was in the whole first season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought he was in every episode. He was always around. But no,
Yeah, we're 15
He's
episodes
only in
deep
a handful.
before we finally meet him. He only shows up, 9 times. Mm-hmm. And this part was actually written for Jason Marsden. In fact, leading up to this episode, they had cast someone else because his schedule wasn't working out. But his schedule actually did finally, it fell through at the 11th hour, and they brought him in basically the day before and were able to catch him up to speed. So we could have had a completely different Rich.
And it's such a good friendship. I am sad that, he kind of goes away, and it takes a few years for Eric to get a friend other than Feeney. It brings a dynamic to him. But anyway, beautiful girl walks up to Eric and says, "Hey, you should be a model. You're good looking."
And what's your name?
I used to know this.
So Eric's what Alexis is looking for. Jason is definitely not. That's made perfectly clear to us. And there's this really hilarious moment where Jason is just making his last plea. They've been friends since they're 3 years old. He's begging Eric to go along for the ride. And Jason has the wherewithal to know immediately it's not happening. See ya. Oh. And so Eric's going to be a model, apparently. And so we go back to the Matthews kitchen. And I have to ask, why it's between Cory, Sean, Topanga, and Minkus. Real world, yes, we have the Matthews set. But in the world of Boy Meets World, why are they meeting in the Matthews kitchen?
Who's to say? Probably because Cory knows that his mom will always have baked goods available and doesn't want to go to Topanga's or...
yeah, you don't want to risk what Topanga's parents might have. But Minkus might have the really good snacks.
No, I don't know.
His parents might send you home with a gift bag.
Minkus. I'm going to throw out that Topanga probably said, "I will show up to your house for the assignment."
Probably. I mean, she knows where he lives.
And we've established, again, she does have a natural crush on Cory. And, in the 4th episode, when we first meet her, she said, "And I'd really have to like the boy."
Yep.
So I stand firm on she still has a crush on him, and he doesn't realize that he has a crush on her.
6th graders are they're so not with it.
Yes. So they start going through what it means to be the perfect model, or the model husband, wife,
and
brothers.
I did clip the ideal husband and wife roles for us.
Oh, good.
So let's give those a listen.
I am Topanga's model husband.
I'm sorry, I'm just flat out looking forward to this.
I live my life in harmony with the physical and metaphysical world, aligned with the Navajo spiritual path.
Yeah.
There's just one little thing that might throw this off just a smidge. What? I'm not a Navajo!
So clearly Topanga's pulling from some of her own experience, her own lived experience, and then Cory's got his thoughts.
My model wife won't care how dirty my room gets. She will always let me win at video games. She will play street hockey at any time, day or night.
I can't say
Why don't you
that
just
I
marry
wouldn't
Sean?
expect this out of sixth graders.
Why don't you just marry Sean?
Because our kids would look like horses.
And honestly, Minkus and Sean really slip into the roles of brothers as well, too.
Don't you hate it when Mom and Dad fight?
No, into it.
So,
Oh, goodness.
Topanga is deep into her Navajo mysticism and traditions. Cory is all about street hockey and video games. Would you say there's some truth here to the idea that girls mature just a tad faster than boys?
I know for a fact they do. I watch it happen weekly. But again, real quick, just another sport that they're throwing out that Cory is obsessed with, and this is the only time it's ever mentioned.
We never hear of street hockey. I don't think we even see any street hockey gear in his room, do we?
No. Now, he has Flyers jersey and a Mighty Duck jersey. But other than those two things, you never...
Yeah, but those are NHL. Those aren't street hockey. I mean, come on.
Right. But it wouldn't surprise me if in Philadelphia, where there is a professional hockey team, if kids had sticks and they actually go out and play street hockey.
Oh, yeah.
However, at no point do we ever see Cory actually interested in that.
He's all about the Phillies, baby. Until now.
Oh gosh, I can't do another deep dive into the Phillies. I won't do it. I refuse to do it, listeners. I won't do it.
But we do learn something rather interesting about Minkus when he hands over his rather immense binder to Sean about his ideal brother. Minkus lets us in that he's an only child who has fantasized about having a younger brother. And that's why this binder is so thick. And it's at this point where Eric enters and gives us anytime I search for Boy Meets World gifts on my phone to send to anyone, this is the gift, one of the first 3 gifts that pop up. It's Eric hopping up on the counter, flipping the hair and saying,
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Okay, do you notice the noise he makes right before that?
I didn't clip it, so I forget.
He's literally hitting the stove because the stove is in the island, so I don't know why, but the last time I was watching it, that noise just like stood out to me, and I'm like, why is that so? Like, what is so loud? What is metal? I'm like, oh, he's put his foot on the stove. I'm like, that's gross. He's put his foot on the stove. His shoe on the stove.
Yeah, that is. But at least the stove, whether it's gas or electric, it's going to burn whatever.
It's still gross. There's no way that Amy, who keeps her house tight and neat, is going to be okay with that.
Oh, no, she's not. But what do you think of what do you think of Eric's monologue for his imaginary ad?
Obsession.
Thought he felt her hot, mossy breath on his eye. He blinked. She was gone. The beating of wings. Obsession. Get help.
Yeah.
He's been
Eric
practicing.
becomes very, very full of himself very quickly.
Oh, yeah. He's been discovered.
That's interesting because the 4 of them deflate him so quickly.
Yes. Minkus was discovered them all. And it's really funny because on the one hand, Minkus starts to chime in, and Eric's hopping on board. Yeah, listen to Minkus. He's smart. I was discovered as well.
I do love Morgan coming in. Eric, girls are going to dump you all your life, so get over it.
Oh, I loved it.
Eric, girls are gonna dump you all your life. So, get over it.
There's just no mercy from the weasel.
Yes, very supportive little sibling. Little monsters.
Monsters indeed. And it's at this point that Eric really gets on Alan's nerves.
I like that he's repeating how much he spent and he's just grabbing the back of his neck. Not that I, as a dad, would ever think to do anything like that. But, just grabs $90? Yeah. And immediately Amy very calmly like, let's go talk outside.
Yes. Eric informs Alan and Amy that he's quitting the Market Giant. He's turning in his apron. What's his official title now? He's head not stock. Is he still stock boy?
Could be.
Bagger. Either way, yeah. He's not just some grunt on the back of the line. He's actually worked his way up a little bit. He's got a little bit of status.
I do like what Alan says. She goes, I'd like to speak outside. I know you would, but my anger will still be in the kitchen.
Oh, I know I've said something similar to that at times. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so,
but before we get outside, Alan says, I'll be back. In a Schwarzenegger-esque fashion.
Oh, yes.
For you younger viewers, that's from The Terminator. And to educate yourself, go watch The Terminator. And then to re-educate yourself, watch Terminator 2. And if you're not allowed to watch rated R movies, then you're missing out, and just Google on YouTube, I'll be back, and wonderfulness.
And just remember, if you're a younger viewer who's too young to watch rated R movies, it's dad number one this week, Tyler, who's trying to convince you to go behind your parents' backs and disobey them.
If you get permission from your parents, I'll let my son see the clip of I'll be back, because that's not a big deal.
There is a
honestly, we watched Jurassic Park a month or two ago, and he handled that fine. He could handle Terminator.
Oh, wow, yeah. If he can handle watching a guy get chomped on while sitting on a toilet, he can handle Terminator.
I think he thought it was pretty funny, actually.
If you're not averse to a little bit of profanity, there's a fun little video making its rounds on social media right now, learning the alphabet with Arnold. Completely not here or there. But as Amy leads Alan outside, I did clip this conversation because I thought it would be beneficial for us to hear.
I know exactly what you were going to say to him, and
No, you don't know what I was about to say to him.
Yes, you were going to say, Eric, get your butt down to that mall, and I don't want to see you again until you get your money back.
Okay. What was he going to say?
I don't know. He's more complex than you. Anyway, the point is that we've made mistakes with money. Let him make his.
Honey, what are we supposed to do? Just hang back, do nothing?
We are doing something. We're trusting our child, and if he makes a mistake, he'll learn from it.
I've been a parent for 15 years, and I think I know a little better than to trust my own kids. Look, guys, I feel like a total jerk. You shouldn't let me manage my own money. Going back to the mall, see if I can get it back. Thanks for not jumping on my case.
That's okay, honey. I married you for your body.
Now, granted, your son is not old enough to have been discovered at the mall and, quit his job.
My son hasn't done
business.
anything truly earth-shattering, dumb yet. So I haven't experienced this yet, but I know someday it's going to come, and it's going to come hard, and I am going to be ready to terminate.
Terminate. Yeah, I haven't had quite quite this situation, but there have been times where we have stepped back and allowed our kids to learn from their own mistakes. Never far enough away. We don't give them. We like to give them a fair amount of rope, but not enough to hang themselves with it, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely relate to Alan, and I can. There's a little bit of bounce to Amy's step as she heads back inside and lets Alan know that she married him for other reasons than just his parenting skills.
Well, I like that she says, I know exactly what you were going to say, but I don't know what my kid's going to say. Mm-hmm. And there's something about our wives understanding who we become when we start to see a little more red and very much understand where the train is going to go. And so of understanding of how, okay, let's pump the brakes on your end. Okay, let's try to help them to understand where they're going wrong. Mm-hmm. He's more complex than you.
I would almost be insulted by that, but at the same time, oddly comforted that my wife knew me that well if I were in Alan's shoes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but again, Eric is still discovering who he is. Mm-hmm. And Alan is a fully formed person, and Amy's been with him long enough to know what his triggers are and know what's going to set him off. And
yep. Indeed.
In no way, I think, is Alan truly going to hurt his son. He's just, he's angry for the mistake he has made, and he's going to want him to make up for it.
She just sees that his anger is not going to help the situation any if it's just unleashed.
Right. Well, and just because he may be justified in his feelings, as we like to talk about in our household, you can have those feelings, but that doesn't mean that we have to endure those. Like, if you're going to act like that, maybe you have to be in this other room over here and deal with your emotions over there.
You are more than entitled to feel your feelings, but that doesn't mean everyone around you needs to feel them like you do right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Eric leaves, but he comes back, and he's got a job.
The mall.
He heads to the mall. $50 for a job. Now,
yeah,
I'm no model, but even for 1993, that seems like that seems low.
It sounds, honest to goodness, like we just need somebody. Throw them $50. I'm sure they'll take it.
I mean, let's see. What was it? 1997, 98. I started working at Dairy Queen, and I could make $50 in the span of a day if I really worked open to close.
Right.
I mean, so to me, 1993, $50 for one modeling gig, it just seems really low.
Right. Well, I mean, even if Eric is still only working like a half shift or two, like there's no way he wouldn't get that within a few days of working.
Oh, yes. But still, to Eric, $50 in one fell swoop, not having to punch in and punch out for a couple of shifts. And
not having to actually work for it.
He gets to be a model and just to look pretty. Don't hate me.
Yeah.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Which, let's just take just a quick second. People that actually do modeling work, like, it's not just about them being pretty people. Like, they do actually have to work, and they're scrutinized a lot, and it's not an easy gig. I always hate whenever people go, oh, that person's a model. Well, they have a job. Like, they're making money. Why are you talking down to them just because of this, or expecting something out of them because of that? It's like they're just another person. Let's just treat them like another person. Assume that they clock in and clock out. It just looks different. Mm-hmm. There's actually a really good episode from The New Girl where main character tries to do the modeling gig for her friend. She can't do it, and she struggles the whole way through. She just goes, I have no idea how you do this. And she goes, practice.
Back to the living room where Cory is sitting cross-legged, as politically incorrect as it would be. Sitting in the 90s, we called it sitting Indian style. On the living room floor, reading a book and learning all about being Navajo.
And I gotta say, Cory's putting in effort.
Yes.
It is quite enjoyable to see him actually try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not just throwing his stuff at Panga. Even though this is a leftovers assignment, he's actually putting in the work. He's not going to tank the group assignment because he's the one that didn't try. And the fact that he's trying to connect with Alan over being the dad here, it's just kind of cute and kind of awesome. So let's hear about it.
You know what the tough thing is about being married?
Actually being married?
Yeah, that. And learning to be the type of husband your wife wants you to be.
Were you going to say something, sweetheart?
Not for the last 18 years, darling. Hey, you get your money back?
Better than that, I got a career.
Excuse me?
Look, Dad, we spent a lot of great times together, and I'm never going to forget how well you treated me.
Son, are we breaking up?
Well, actually, I'm leaving my job at the store. I got my first job as a model. It's just the beginning for me. I'm giving you your apron back. Thanks for taking it so well, Dad.
Don't do anything. Let him work it out for himself. Fabulous.
He was supposed to realize his own mistake.
Oh, no. Don't even think about it, sweetheart. Sit back, do nothing. We've raised a perfect teenage boy who's quite capable of running his own life.
Alan, I'm letting you out of your cage.
Thank you.
The beast is unleashed. Oh, yes.
That's probably my favorite line is Alan kind of just throwing it back a little bit of like, oh, no, honey, you were right. And then just saying, I'm letting you out of your cage. And then him just going off to the wind to yell at his son.
Newspaper goes everywhere. Thank you. I've been unleashed. I've been there. I've had that. I've had that permission given.
Yeah. Well, and again, I will say, having a 5-year-old, it's different. You can't quite do that. But there is a level too. Okay, well, now dad's getting up and dad's getting involved. Like, you could have worked this out with mom and everything could have been fine for you, but you pushed it and now you're being disrespectful to mommy. That's not okay.
So we get our act break back from our act break, and Eric is getting reamed out in the living room. Not that he's getting a ream of paper thrown at him. That's what it originally meant.
No.
He's getting the talking to. The cage is gone. He's getting a stern talking to from Alan.
Yes.
And I love that it's not just Alan yelling at him and berating him, but he's actually trying to help him understand. And I've clipped what he is trying to teach Eric in this moment.
That is not the way you make an important decision that will change your life. You want to make an important decision? You consider every aspect of it. And after you have thoroughly thought this through, then, and only then, because I'm confident in the way you were brought up, I will support you in what you want to do.
Those are such solid and wise words. They really are. I mean, it's entirely supportive. Alan is saying, look, if you have thought this through, if you have actually weighed all of the pros and the cons, if you have thought through what this actually means for you, only then I will completely support you. He might not agree with him. He might not understand it. But if he can see that Eric has actually put in the effort and the work to think this through and can show that it's not just a spur of the moment, seat of his pants decision, then he'll support him whether he agrees with it or not. And I think that's a message that we lose today, that support has become equated with agree and condone and accept. Support is something that it's been so entwined with all of these other things that is very hard, even in my own home sometimes, to explain that I can support you as my child, even if I don't agree with you, or if I don't condone your thought process or agree with what you want to do. I can still support you. And I think that's something that we've lost in this world today.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is why when you and I sit down and to do this podcast, it feels like we're getting an education on being a dad. Because yes, Alan is yelling at his son, but he's trying to make it clear of why he is angry. He's not angry because of the choice. He's angry because of the lack of thought behind the choice. And if he's going to make a choice as to quit the job that Alan got him, he worked his way up. He probably has a better lifestyle right now because of it, a little more comfortable. To throw that away to just chase one thing, is not a wise decision. And Eric says, I want to be a supermodel anyway.
I want to be a supermodel.
And I've been Alan in that moment. I have physically hit myself as I bury my face in my hands because of sometimes it's just frustration at poor choices. Sometimes it's because the world is full of people who are just dumb.
I think this is very much a I don't want your life situation.
Yeah. But he relents and he decides to let Eric learn from his boneheaded mistake. He's, you pick your battles as a parent sometimes, and this is a battle that he's chosen to let, this is a situation I made the reference to giving my kids enough rope. He's letting Eric have more rope. Eric's either going to sink or swim. We're going to mix metaphors here for a moment. Eric's either going to sink or swim here. And Alan is giving him enough rope that he can either fly or he's going to hang himself. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, I like how he says, I'm not the type of father who dismisses his son's well-considered aspirations with some quickly tossed off parental negativity. And so I like you saying, if you are saying you've thought this out, then I'll support you.
And he doesn't agree with it. He doesn't support it. Clearly, he doesn't agree with it. And he doesn't support it. And he doesn't like it.
Yeah, I like how Cory B is like, really? You're going to let this go? Alan pretty quickly. Shut up.
I think, I'm trying to remember, I might have clipped.
Look, Dad, I know something about being a father, and I know that this plan of yours cannot possibly work. If I ran my school family like that, I'd get an F. Don't you see Eric's making a huge mistake?
Well, Cory, let me tell you something about being a father. It doesn't matter if you see it or I see it. It only matters that he doesn't see it.
And so, and this all happens in front of Cory as he's getting prepared for his own class assignment, which we find out later is based around this idea of one of the kids wants to get a tattoo, which would have been helpful to know ahead of time. That I don't know. That's just would have been interesting. But all of this is happening right in front of Cory, and he gets to see a really great look at what it means to be from the outside. This is not him involved in the picture at all. But how does a dad who is invested in caring for his son and wanting the best for him and having invested into his son for 15 years, how does he handle his son making a boneheaded decision that you can't win in this situation if you're Alan, because even if you do win and you convince Eric no, you've crushed him at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I like that potentially still in slight frustration, Alan makes it clear this is not an assignment. this is real life.
Exactly.
I'm trying to help my son now in this moment. And the only way I can let him succeed is to potentially let him fail as well.
Yeah.
And he has to live with that.
Yeah. I mean, Eric may fail here, but it's better that he fail here than and learn from it now when there's a safety net than he fail later in life when there isn't a safety net to learn with
Exactly.
and from. So, double standard, clear-cut rules. Do we parent different children differently? I don't know. I just threw that in my notes there. Answer of yes, yes, and yes. I do parent all three of my children differently. There are sometimes what is perceived to be double standard, and yes, there are clear-cut rules, and sometimes those rules do get shifted a little bit.
I like how he's like, well, how am I going to learn how am I supposed to do this? Ask your wife. Which, could we play the clip that I had sent you before we get to this situation?
Yes.
The lunch bell sounded, and I thought maybe you and I could grab a bite ski at this charming little place I know called the cafeteria.
What would be the point, Cory?
Well, first I'm gonna take a step back, and then I'm gonna tell you. There are 3 points. I'm hungry, you're my girlfriend, and it's Taco Bar Tuesday.
You would feed tacos to our child?
Our what? You and I are gonna have a child? Wait a minute, we've only kissed. I mean, I knew I was a good kisser, but wow.
Our future child, the one we'd have if we got married?
Oh, that kid? Would I feed him tacos? Yeah, at 4 for 99 cents. He's gonna be taco crazy.
You're not getting that I'm really upset with you.
Oh, no, my precious peach. I had that right away.
Do you know why I'm upset with you?
Yes, me. Something I've done or haven't done or did do but didn't do properly. You know what that said? Taco.
You let Billy stay up last Friday night. You'd rather be pals with our kids than a strong, responsible role model.
And yet, if I may, at the risk of being argumentative, we don't have any kids.
And we're not gonna. You know why?
Because we're just kissing?
Because I believe that a family falls apart if there are not strong, authoritative role models at home.
Topanga, it wasn't our home. It wasn't our kid. Now, I'm sure what you're saying probably makes a lot of sense, but right now my blood sugar level's dropping, and all I want's a little taco.
Well, if that taco is more important to you than our child, then this family has dysfunction written all over it.
Hey, Gore, taco. I don't think I'm supposed to have one.
So I thought we needed to have a feeling of maybe how Topanga's view on what the model family should be.
Indeed.
Because it's nothing like who she wants Cory to act like now.
It definitely changes.
Yes. We get into the model family conflict. We discover that the older, cooler brother wants to get a tattoo.
Nice.
And the family discusses upon what that should look like.
And Sean has a little something to offer. And I didn't clip his message, but he channels Minkus.
Such a good geek, I scared myself.
But he speaks of not understanding why anyone would want to mar their body with graffiti, basically. And Minkus...
Listen, Pinhead.
Minkus really goes off on Sean with all the sass, and Mr. Feeney's warning about natural selection ruling the blackboard jungle is hilarious.
When Minkus commits to the bit, he commits to the bit. That's for sure.
That he does. And he pays Sean off and asks him if it'll be enough. Sean says, keep talking.
You know, Cory gives his response of what he feels should occur. Topanga then responds how she feels.
Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, you are so bizarre.
Yes. Topanga then says, I've decided without benefit of discussion with my spouse, because that's the kind of husband you'll be. tattoo will have to wait.
And then Minkus just rips open his shirt to reveal he has adorned himself with a tattoo.
Stuart, a tattoo. It speaks to me.
Minkus, you've got a dark side. It speaks to me.
Minkus has gone out and solved the problem in his own way, figuring as his character, that's how he would solve it. And Cory's got a problem with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, honest to goodness, the way that Sean has written his perfect brother to be, that is how he would resolve the issue. He would just, there wouldn't be a discussion. It would just be he would do it himself.
Right.
And depending upon what type of family you grow up in, that is a way to handle it. That's not the way that my family would handle it. And depending upon how old Minkus is, his character in this moment, unless he is 18 years old, he needs a parental consent.
Yeah. I don't know of any states that he can do that, especially not Philly.
Yeah, so PA and Ohio both a no-go unless you're 18.
Yeah, even in 93, I don't know which parent he got to consent to that. Maybe he snuck Cory in and Cory just forgot because he was meditating.
Maybe. I mean, basically, from what I was looking at, all states basically are you got to be at least 18 if you don't need parental consent. And basically a parental consent, as long as the parent's okay with it, you can do almost any age, which is kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bad parent, technically that's all you need, and you can give it to anyone you want as long as the tattoo artist is willing to do it.
Yeah, you get some interesting stuff there.
Cory's kind of upset. Cory is the only one truly upset because Minkus has messed up, I don't know, a chance at a good grade.
Well, Cory's actually put in the work here. We saw him studying. We saw him learning from his own father. And Mr. Feeney really kind of diffuses this just in such a great way.
There is no model household. There are no model parents.
I think the only way you can judge a family is by how much love there is in the home.
Excellent point, Miss Lawrence. A family is a living, breathing thing that requires constant adjustment and change.
But Beaver's dad never changed. You always knew what he was going to say.
Beaver's dad wasn't real. Real fathers have to adapt. Real fathers don't have a script like Beaver's father did.
I guess it's easy to sound smart when you got the best writers in Hollywood writing everything you say.
I wouldn't know.
I think we need to break the fourth wall, breaking the fourth wall. So we have a show talking about another show and how real fathers don't have a script and how technically Alan Matthews has a script, so he has the things to say, where as a real life father, sometimes you don't have the right things to say, and 5 seconds after you say it, you go, oh no, I should not have said that.
It's so meta, I'm lost inside myself.
Yeah, I just like my brain. I don't know if I'm just tired, but my brain is breaking right now because it's like, because I mean, Feeney, he doesn't have the best writers, he says, but essentially, if you're talking about Boy Meets World, the show,
I just like the way that they handle it with Mr. Feeney with the joke. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I do too. But
a little self-deprecating humor there.
I like for this whole situation, though, that Feeney makes it clear potentially that there's not really a true grade on the line here. This is just a life lesson, and we're just talking about a life lesson.
Mm-hmm. And there are no ideal families. There are no necessarily wrong answers in this situation. Then in life, there are going to be wrong answers, but there's no perfect answer here, because every family is going to be different. Every family is a living, breathing organism here.
Well, every family has to deal with their own stuff on their own. Mm-hmm. And And, just because a conflict arises in one family doesn't mean they're going to have that same conflict arise themselves. And it's understanding the difference of who are the parents or parent, or who is in the authority position, and how do they interact with said child, and understanding that not every single house is going to be run the same way. I mean, heck, we change up how we parent almost on a year-to-year basis at this point. Yes, our son's growing and developing, but we're also adapting some of the ways that we're trying to communicate, trying new things all the time. Now, we don't do the whole let your kid call you by the first name situation, and we don't do the whole there's no need for no, there's a need for no. No is a requirement, and there is punishments when we do bad things. We're back to the mall, Brett, and Eric is showing up all feeling handsome, feeling ready to go. And he discovers there's a slight problem with his modeling gig, Brett.
There is indeed. And Sean says it best.
Eric, this may come as somewhat of a shock, but you're a lobster, dude.
Yes, you're a lobster. And just a toss out to some of the other actors here on the side, because we will see them again. The two babes that are, we'll start with Matt Kirkwood is a photographer. He's got 20 acting credits. This is his second of 7 appearances on the show.
Wow.
He was one of the TV voices in Class Pre-Union.
Okay.
He will actually play Chubby in one episode of season 5.
Huh.
And so he'll be on the show a few times. Tracy is played by Kelly Packard. We will see her again. This is her first of 3 appearances on Boy Meets World. She had guest roles on Step by Step, The Wonder Years before this, best known for her roles on California Dreams and Baywatch.
Wait, hold on. We went 2 IMDb's in a row without a very important thing being stated, Brett.
What's that?
Step by step, day by day. All right, go ahead. Continue.
And Erin is played by Stephanie Dicker. She has 20 acting credits, and this is her first of 2 appearances on Boy Meets World, so we will see her again.
Nice.
Guest roles on Saved by the Bell, The New Class, Married with Children, Blossom, Beverly Hills 90210, and Friends. Her longest run was a role on the 1-year show, 1 season, Fame LA.
Interesting.
And I like the way that Rich answers the sidekick when he asks him who he is, when the babes say, we're the babes that hang out with him because he's a model.
Yeah. It's nothing like hanging out with some girls just because you have a title that they're interested in, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. But Rich is...
I'm the happy sidekick.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Eric tries to get Cory and Sean to get rid of Jason and the girls. And he doesn't say to them, hey, whatever you do, don't let them stick around. Jason immediately hears about the contest, and the girls convince him, we want a free dinner.
A free lobster dinner, since Eric is the lobster, and he can't quit.
He signed a contract.
He signed a contract. But why do they need a model to be the lobster? He's in a full body costume. Yes, you can see his face, but he's in a full body costume. No one's looking at his beautiful face. And I mean, he was signed in part because of his hair, I'm sure.
Probably. But probably this whole situation it's a talent booking thing. And, to say model is nicer than saying any random person willing to get dunked in a tank of butter. And I will say, in light of the Me Too movement, Eric trying to say, have you ever wear something so humiliating? I could only imagine for A, the actress, and B, the potential backstory of this character to go, yeah, you have no idea. You're getting off lucky. Bye.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say Eric might have been able to salvage some dignity and might have been able to hide part of his face in the costume if Morgan hadn't wandered on the scene and blown his cover.
Yeah, that did not help him.
And the girls, of course, maybe we should be sensitive and understanding. Then we wouldn't be us. I was never attracted to girls with personalities like this when I was in high school.
I'm going to throw it out there, and I could be wrong. People can tell me I'm wrong. But I think when I was in high school, those type of girls kind of went away. Like, I'm not saying there weren't girls that still wanted status and whatnot, but I don't know. Like, I never met a lot of these mean girls like this. Still met girls that were stuck up, but, you know, actually did something other than just...
Yeah,
nothing.
Well, I'm sure this is amplified a bit for TV's sake.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say for sure that I knew girls like this to this extent, to this level, but I could definitely point out girls that I knew in high school that would have had that type of personality.
Yeah.
But Eric and Jason are into girls like this, and Eric gets dunked.
Brett, what are you talking about? They're just into any girls whatsoever, any girl anywhere.
Well, yes, they are, but I was trying to give them a little credit. They're just horn dogs. They're big old hormones and high tops.
Again, what happened to Linda? Where is Linda? I liked Linda.
Eric was such a great boyfriend to Linda. Oh, man. Oh.
Maybe...
I like her.
Maybe that's the whole situation of I was kissing, I was getting a neck sucked on or kissing a girl, and I don't even know who that was.
Maybe. Maybe. So Eric's swimming in butter. We go back home. He's laid out the kitchen as like it's at the Market Giant. He's trying to get his job back at the Market Giant. But the position's already been filled, and Alan is having a really rough heart-to-heart with him. And, let's listen in.
How could you do that, Dad?
I'm the store manager. It's kind of my job.
You gotta give me my job back, Dad.
Eric, I can't fire somebody just because you suddenly want to come back.
Dad, do you remember when I was little and we used to play Monopoly and I'd roll the dice and land on Boardwalk while you had a hotel on it?
Yeah?
Well, you'd call it a misroll and you'd let me roll again.
Yeah?
Well, Dad, this modeling thing, I misrolled.
Yeah, but you're not little anymore. You wanted to make your own decisions, live your own life. I let you.
Oh, I know, but come on, Dad, just for old time's sake. Can't I be little again?
Well, Eric, I'm not always going to be there to give you another role.
I know, but you're here now. I mean, you're my father. You're supposed to help me. Can I have my job back, please?
No. But we could use some help on the weekend night shift.
My old job? Goodbye Friday and Saturday nights.
What's the difference? After those two girls tell all the other girls about your secret life as a lobster, do you think you'll ever date again?
I'll take the job.
Oof, you're good.
Oh, you think so, huh?
Yeah, because when you're a good father like you and me, you realize that once in a while, kids do stupid things like become a lobster or get a tattoo. But a family's a living, breathing thing, and you didn't let that throw you.
Did you get a tattoo?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I love how Alan is immediately going for, did you get a tattoo?
Well, I like that Alan in this moment is both balancing out being Eric's boss and being Eric's dad. And as his dad, he wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as his boss, he can't.
Yes.
And I'd argue it's only because of nepotism that he still has a job at the Market Giant.
Yeah, anyone else walks out and quits like that, no 2 weeks notice, nothing else. I mean, you're not coming back. The only reason you're coming back is you're the boss's kid.
Right. Well, and if Eric had given 2 weeks of notice, done the gig, realized that it didn't work out, he easily could have continued his job. But he didn't. He decided, I quit. I don't need this anymore.
But this is his safety net.
When my dad would manage a hardware store, he would tell us about times when he'd have teenage boys just decide, yep, we're going to quit. And he's like, what are you doing? You're good workers. Like, you quit on me? Like, I can't give a recommendation now.
Yep.
Yeah. So, dear listeners, understand that if you're going to quit somewhere, give notice unless you've got enough money that you don't need to work again.
Unless you're hitting the lottery or get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And getting a large settlement. Give notice. Don't burn your bridges.
I gotta say, as a Monopoly fan, I do appreciate them bringing this up.
Yes, my children discovered Monopoly this year.
If they're playing Monopoly right, though, the amount of money that Alan would need to get hotels on Boardwalk, but also Park Place, if you're playing it correctly, is a lot. I know some people play it where the moment you get a place, you can start putting hotels on and whatnot. We play the right way. You play where you got to get the actual Monopoly. But yeah, you're looking at like $2,000 in-game cash just to get to the hotel on there. And it's almost impossible to get someone to land on Broadway. Like, they must have been playing for hours if Alan was able to get enough cash to do that.
Yep.
Who's to say what type of rules they're playing with? I honestly think it's only there for the joke's sake, not the actual, like, he actually did it.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Because otherwise, there's no way a kid is going to stay that invested for an adult to get Boardwalk hotels.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. I do love that it ends with Alan bringing his attention back to Cory and, teasing him about, did you get a tattoo? Like, what? He's like, show me. Did you get a tattoo? Where is it?
Oh, yes. And then, Cory going back to the mall trying to get Alexis's attention.
Yeah.
You got $90?
See ya. Oh, my gosh. Well, that was an episode, Brett. Taco. I'm really happy you have that. So before we end this episode, Brett, I have an opinion that I need to get across, and I think you need to hear it right now. All right. We are recording Grayson's reaction to Model Family. So, Grayson Edward, did you watch an episode of Boy Meets World with me?
Yes, I did.
Yeah? Did you enjoy the episode?
Uh-huh.
Good. What did you think was funny about it?
Because Minkus had a tattoo on.
Minkus had a tattoo on? Do you think it was funny that Minkus was acting like Sean and then he showed a tattoo?
Yeah.
Did you think it was silly that that Sean was acting like Minkus as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Cory was acting like Topanga?
Yeah.
And Topanga was acting like Cory?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you think that was also silly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from the episode?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you learn?
I learned about Model Family.
Yeah.
I learned about family always get to when we get break the rules.
Sometimes families break the rules, yeah, but there's no set family how things have to be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so do you think our family, do you think we break the rules sometimes?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you break the rules sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah. But do you think we have fun and we're a loving family?
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think about Eric?
He went at a crab.
Yeah, he was a little lobster. Did you think that was silly?
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think about Eric coming in and being on the stove? Was that a good idea?
No.
Was there a quote from the episode you want to say?
Because Eric, they fell down in the water.
Yeah, he fell down.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy watching Boy Meets World with Daddy?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And do you like listening to the podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited to be on it?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to all the listeners?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Make sure you subscribe for a thumbs up.
Subscribe for a thumb.
Make sure you subscribe and give a thumbs up. Should they leave a review?
Leave a review for every day.
Yeah, and then we'll read it on the podcast. 5-star review?
Yep. Do a podcast if you want.
What grade would you give this episode from A to F? What would you give it?
To F.
You give it an F?
Yep.
Why would you give it an F?
Because.
Okay, so.
Is it an F for funny?
Yeah.
Okay, so was it like A, like it was really, really good? Was it B, like it was just good?
A.
It was an A?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You really enjoyed it?
Yep, I do.
Okay. Do you want to give your Farkle?
Yeah.
Okay, that was Grayson Edward. You said bye?
Bye.
Oh, that little boy. He has been asking to do something on the podcast. And so I was like, well, how about you give a little reaction to the video or to the movie, TV show, whatever it is we're watching. And I said, okay, let's try it. And so there it was. Our number one listener finally got to be on the show.
There we go.
So, Brett, what'd you learn this week?
Well, this week I had the pleasure of learning there's not a set list of rules and guidelines to follow for an ideal family unit. Each child is different and needs freedom to make their own mistakes as they learn and grow. What about you, Tyler?
I think one of the things I've learned primarily from Alan is that it's okay to have your emotions as a dad, to be frustrated and angry, but to channel that in a positive direction. And to make sure that you're trying your best to help your kid understand what it is you want them to understand. At the same time, if they're being so stubborn of just, okay, letting it be. So, yeah, honestly, it was a great episode. And curious, Brett, what type of grade would you give this?
Initially I had settled on a B, but I just through our discussion, I raised it up to a solid A.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably go with an A minus in all honesty. Like this really was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's as close to the top tier as we've cracked so far, but it's not like it's that far away from it. I think
Nerdorama!
It's like those little things that kind of annoy me. And there is a part of Eric's storyline that does frustrate me and feels kind of 90s TV, if that makes sense. Like random character wearing a random costume and they get randomly dunked into a tank. Like you could see that on any television show. But again, I do like that we're seeing more with Eric, and we also now have a friend for Eric.
Yes.
So that is nice.
I agree.
Yeah, I wish we would have seen a little more of Amy, but you can only get so much, I guess.
Yep. And the parts where she was there, she was solid.
Exactly. Well, Brett, I think this has been a Dads Meet World episode so far, except for one thing.
It is, and I am waiting on the edge of my seat for a dad joke. You told me it's a good one.
I don't know if it's a good one, but it's something. So, as you know, Brett, we're doing a lot of remodeling, still finishing up the house and everything. So, my son and I were walking through Lowe's and we get into the light area, like where they have all the light bulbs all over the place, so bright. And it's like, oh my gosh. And my son's looking around like, there's just so much light. And I'm like, no, son, it's lit.
I need a little drum set here.
Yeah.
But
that's my attempt to take a meme and turn it into a dad joke.
That might be your best one yet.
I think it is too.
All right. Well,
there we go. And this has officially been an episode of Dads Meet World.
That's right, 15 deep. Good looking people.
Yeah.
If you'd like to find us online, YouTube has finally released handles, so it's easy to find us everywhere online by going to Instagram and Twitter, which is woefully unupdated. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at dadsmeetworld. And you can drop us a message via email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. Tyler, where can we stalk you online?
Well, I don't want anybody stalking me, but if anyone actually wants to chat with me, you can always chat with me on Twitter, Tyler Volk, or on any of our social media platforms. I'm always wandering around those things, so feel free to drop a comment, and I'm sure we'll talk back.
Are you going to pay $8 to get yourself verified on Twitter?
No. Absolutely not.
Well, you can you can stalk me online on Instagram or Twitter at Dr. Headley Art. You'll see some of my art there, and working on some new Dads Meet World stuff, and some Boy Meets World stuff that might show up by the time this episode airs. So yeah, watch for it there.
Yeah, let's not stalk anybody. Stalking's not a good thing, Brett. Let's not encourage that.
Stalking is bad, kids.
Yes.
With
Unless you're a
that
parent
said-
double checking on the other people to make sure that they're okay. I don't know. It's late. We got to get out of here.
Yes, we do.
So, I'm one of your pod daddies, Tyler, signing off. Good looking people.
Apparently, I'm your other pod daddy, Brett. We'll see you next time, good looking people. Pod daddy.
I thought of it, so I did it. I don't know why I did it, but I thought it, and I said, yep, let's do it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit.
Pod daddy, that's staying. I'm going to put that on a shirt. I'm your who's your pod daddy?
I really don't want you to, but we have to.
Now available in the Dads Meet World shop. Who's your pod daddy?
So wrong. Poor choices, poor choices, poor choices.
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios, tell your story.
Okay, let's break the fourth. Oh. Sorry, I forgot that was that little bit there. I didn't know how long you clipped it for. Sorry. I was just going to say, I welcome Dr. Dads Meet World. I got a Pop-Tart in my mouth. My apologies. Brett said, let's go. And all of a sudden I take a big bite. I'm like, well, this is going to be interesting. Sorry, let's try this again. Welcome to Dads Meet World. I am one of your dads, Tyler.
And I'm your other dad, Brett.